Hello, and welcome to another episode of Creating Cultures That Outperform. Hard to believe it, folks, but here we are, episode 28. Do everything now, personality at work. These are real jerks. Usually they're leaders, but I've run into individual contributors like this. Certainly, they learn the lesson quickly. But let's get into it because this is a really interesting personality. I think everybody's seen this one. Just remember, we've got a lot of episodes. We did update the list. Terry came up with some missing shows that weren't on the original list. We added them. So here's the lineup. You can see the red dotted line is where we are now, and we're moving down this column into the next. So we'll be moving on. We've got a great set of shows, and hopefully you can join us for all of them. I think these have been just super. All right, so who is this person? Here's the individual contributor trying to get everything done right away. And as you can see, they've got 4 arms and an extra hand. And the reality of life is they actually only have the 2 arms. So they're overloaded. They try to get everything done at once to prove speed and value. What do you think about these folks, Terry? You've worked with them, right?
Yeah, I had a manager like this one time, and she would always just say, she'd give you an assignment, and then she'd give you another assignment, and then she'd give you another assignment, and you're like, okay, hold on, what's the priority? What do you want done first? And kind of like, when do you need all these things done by? And she's like, oh, I need it done by yesterday. And I'm just like, I can't do it yesterday. So what do you really need? There's got to be some real deadline that's achievable. I can't time travel and get this to you yesterday. But it's like they just constantly create all of this work for everybody to do. They're just jumping from one thing to the next all the time. Everything is urgent. Nothing is ever done in a reasonable pace where you can actually keep up with what you need to get done. And I know there are times when, the pace is frantic and you have a lot of things to get done, but every day can't be like that. You can't have competing priorities all the time and then just refuse to prioritize what's most important for people. Because what will end up happening is they'll pick for themselves because they can't do everything right now. They're going to work on one thing at a time, and they're going to choose the one thing that they work on. So you'd be better off as a leader if there's something in particular you want them to focus on. Give them that direction. Don't leave them to figure it out on their own, because they may choose something that really is not that important, but it's what they chose.
The funny thing is, all of these people eventually fail. The individual contributor, I've seen them. They start off with good intentions. They try to impress everybody, get everything done fast. Meanwhile, they deliver poor quality work. The leaders are trying to manage up and impress everybody above them, and by burning out the people under them. So they're the biggest problem of all. And here's that leader right here. Clearly, if you're going to work with these folks and you've got a leader like this, you've got to help them clarify priorities and tell them that it's going to be getting things done right. Really try to help them learn how to manage stuff and stop trying to impress everybody by burning their people out. I did work with one of these people one time, alongside them. And boy, they were an absolute nightmare for their people, because they really wanted to make sure the people upstairs could see how effective they were. But stuff started actually just turning to garbage. People burnt out. People started prioritizing. I remember one of the people would meet all the deadlines and say, hey, here it is. It'd be all garbage, because put in the time they had. And they said, here, I got it done. You didn't give me enough time. It's the best I could get done. Gave them garbage. So they ended up looking terrible because they never got the stuff done right. And the people upstairs noticed. So they couldn't make it this way. It was impossible.
Yeah. You've got to set realistic deadlines. The bottom line is you cannot get everything done at once. You can't overload people and give them more work than they can handle. You really do need to know the capacity of the people that are working with you. And then you've got to set some realistic deadlines. You can't just overload people and think that it's going to work out well. You have to really prioritize. So I often have more things than I can handle in one day, but I know what the priorities are. I know that certain days I'm going to have to juggle a different set of activities, but I know what I need to do versus me just having this workload that's unbearable and no support or direction from my leaders. So it's important that you set that direction for people because, again, like I said before, they're going to choose. If you don't choose for them, they're going to choose, and it may not be what they need to choose.
Yeah.
So things might start falling through the cracks that don't need to fall through the cracks. So you want to really take time and sit down with your people, understand what's on their plate, and give them some specific priorities that they can manage week to week.
Yeah. I had an absolutely crazy situation. I was the CIO of a division in one of the companies that I worked in. And the head of the business, it was a client focused business, service business. And he never, ever said no to clients when they wanted something. He always tried to say, look, we got to get this done. They want it in a week. Please get this done right away. And stuff just pouring in. And I had to manage, the president of that division to say, look, it's not possible. You've got to actually tell them that, we have a schedule. There's a certain number of slots available, and those slots are full. We move on to the next ones. And you've got to manage the client. And this person and his service team didn't want to ever push back and say no, ever. And that was the source of the craziness, actually. And it was about managing that client in terms of handling them what to do, was really helping them understand how many slots were available and push back and say, no, go back to the client. We're not doing this. It's impossible.
Yeah, you have to say no sometimes. You
You
cannot
do.
say yes to everything. And as an employee, you're in the same boat. None of us have infinite capacity. And so you
No.
have to manage your clients, you've got to manage your leaders, but then you've also got to manage yourself as an employee and know what your limits are. So, in order to produce high quality work, you want to keep people in that space where they're not completely overloaded so that you get the results that you need.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And, what not to do, how to guarantee nothing gets done. Well, certainly you can't, make sure everything's priority one. We know that never ever works. You don't want to be interrupting people because you know how many episodes we've done on interruption free time and the value of think time and interruption free time for an
Right.
organization when you have a culture. These places, they can't possibly be creative because people don't have any think time. They really aren't going to come up with
Yeah.
any great ideas. Um,
It's also very stressful. Chaos and
wow.
stress are really
Horrible.
not good when you're trying to think clearly. And a lot of people don't function well in chaos. I'm one of those people. I was never any good when I had to work on operational teams that had to handle production fires. I hated that feeling of being stressed out and do it now, do it now. It's critical, it's urgent. You have to figure it out right now. Some people thrive in that type of an environment, but I'm one of those people
Um,
that I need calm. I can't handle chaos. And so the chaos just stirs around and people start doing things faster and faster. And the quality of the work just gets poorer and poorer
yeah.
as people are trying to do things faster. You start making more mistakes, you start missing things that you normally would have caught. So it's really just a chaotic and stressful environment that does not help anyone.
No, it's destructive, no question about it. And this is what happens to these people. Everybody loses. The team, the company, the leader who's doing this. If it's an individual doing it, they get found out very, very quickly. Leaders can hide for a while sometime um, because damage is across numbers of people and things.
Yeah,
Um,
when people burn out, they stop caring.
yeah,
They really do stop caring about the work. They just don't care because they know that they can never do it all. They can never make it all great. So they just stop caring, which is not the place that you want people to be in on a consistent basis at work.
yeah, yeah. And if you're in a big division where they try to run it like this, it's a disaster because everything starts to fall apart. And
Yeah.
at that level, they can get away with it because the CEO is not going to come in and try to manage the division for them. You have to have big problems emerging on the balance sheet before the people above at the head of the company get involved. Go, what's going on over here? They
Yeah.
can get away with stuff like this for a long time. And leaders lose credibility over a period of time. If they're at a high enough level, it takes a while to find them out. If they're lower level, it's seen very, very quickly. So
Yeah.
everybody loses, the customers lose, the employees lose, that leader burns out, the division's in trouble, quality goes down. So all the dominoes fall over. It is what happens.
Yeah. And you see that chart in the back where team morale is just taking a nosedive and
Yeah.
quality is also down to one. Things just cannot be great in a situation like this.
Oh yeah, they didn't even have time to water the plant. They're so busy, right? Like in the background. It's so crazy. But these are real jerks at work. They exist. I've worked with many of these, not all of them. These people are destructive, no question about it, and it's good to know how to handle them and what to do. So please join us here every Wednesday for another episode. We've got a good one coming next week. We've got the blame shifter. This is a common one.
Yes.
Boy, work with a
Not
bunch of
it.
these. Yeah, I've worked alongside them, with them. Boy, these people are bad. So, join us next Wednesday at 3 o'clock for the blame shifter. I think you're going to enjoy it, and I hope to see you there.